How to instantly connect with new women without being awkward in 30 seconds or less. If there's one thing I've learned after years of watching men crash and burn with women, it's this. Connection isn't built by trying harder. It's built by cutting through the bullshit. Most guys walk into a new interaction already strangled by their own thoughts. Don't say the wrong thing. Don't look creepy. What if she doesn't like me? And before they even open their mouth, they've already lost. The woman feels the tension, the neediness, and the forced smile. And in her body, she thinks, something's off. That's the death of attraction. And here's the raw truth. In the first 30 seconds, she's not evaluating the details of your words. She's evaluating the energy you bring. That's why a guy who simply orders a drink with grounded confidence feels magnetic, while another who cracks the perfect opener feels invisible. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to walk into that moment with a new woman, cut through the awkwardness, and connect in a way that makes her feel like she's known you forever. Picture this. You're standing at the bar, she walks past, and you feel that little jolt in your chest, the one that says, say something before she's gone. But your brain freezes. You start thinking, what should I say? Should I compliment her? Should I crack a joke? And in those few seconds of hesitation, you've already lost. Not because you didn't say the right thing, but because your hesitation spilled out of you like spilled beer, sticky, obvious, and messy. Women don't respond to lines, they respond to states. They tune into your emotional frequency. If your signal says, I'm nervous, I hope you like me, she'll keep moving. If your signal says, I'm grounded, I'm curious, and I'm not afraid to be here, she'll open the door even if you just said, hey. The mistake most men make is chasing words instead of connection. They treat conversations like puzzles, as if the right sequence of syllables will unlock attraction. That's a lie. Connection isn't a puzzle, it's a pulse. You don't win her interest by being clever. You win it by being undeniable. And the brutal truth? Most men are forgettable within 10 seconds. She doesn't even remember your name because you left her nothing to feel. You handed her a business card when she wanted to taste fire. That's why you've got to stop obsessing over what to say and start obsessing over how to be. Your energy is the handshake she remembers even when your words dissolve. Think about the last time you met someone who made you feel something instantly. It wasn't their words, was it? It was the way they looked at you, the way they stood, and the way they didn't rush. Their presence filled the space and gave you permission to relax. That's the kind of presence you need with women. Because here's the paradox. The less you try to impress, the more impressive you become. Every man she meets is performing. Every man is doing a little song and dance to win her approval. When you don't, you stand out. You create a vacuum, and she gets pulled into it. She starts wondering, why is he so calm? Why does he look at me like that? Curiosity is desire's first cousin. Spark it, and you're already inside her head. But presence isn't just posture, it's inner dialogue. The voice in your head betrays you. If you're thinking, don't mess this up, your body tenses, your smile twitches, and your eyes dart. She reads it like a billboard. If you're thinking, I belong here, and she's lucky I noticed her, your shoulders drop, your breath deepens, and your eyes linger. The line you say becomes almost irrelevant because she's already felt your reality. That's why the first 30 seconds are less about what you say to her and more about what you say to yourself. You don't need to fake confidence. You need to cut the rope of self-doubt dragging you down before you open your mouth. So here's the raw challenge. The next time you see a woman you're drawn to, don't plan a line. Don't script a scenario. Walk up, open your mouth, and say the first honest thing that surfaces. You looked interesting walking in. You remind me of trouble. Or even, hey, I had to meet you. The words don't matter. What matters is that you said them before your fear choked them. That unfiltered moment, awkward or not, is where she feels your courage, and courage is magnetic. You can stutter, you can pause, you can even laugh at yourself, And if you're rooted in your own frame, she'll laugh with you instead of at you. The awkwardness only sticks when you resist it. When you own it, it turns into charm.
The irony is that most men sabotage themselves by trying not to be awkward. They tense up, they edit themselves, and they wear a mask. And the mask kills connection. Women aren't turned off by awkwardness, they're turned off by inauthenticity. A nervous guy who admits, "Damn, I'm actually nervous right now, but I still wanted to meet you," will melt her faster than a polished faker running canned lines. Why? Because vulnerability is real. And in a world drowning in posturing, realness slices through like a blade. She feels safe with realness. She feels curious about it. She leans in because finally, here's a man who isn't hiding behind a performance. Let's rip the bandage off. You've been lied to about attraction. You've been told women want the funniest guy, the smoothest guy, the perfect guy. They don't. They want the man who can step into the tension of a moment and hold it without flinching. They want the man who can feel the fear and still move forward. That's the essence of masculine polarity, your willingness to step into the fire of her presence and not blink. That's what creates instant connection. Not tricks, not tactics, presence. Vulnerability, courage, those are your weapons. And if you wield them, 30 seconds is more than enough to light the fuse. But here's where it cuts deeper. You can't fake this. You can't slap a coat of paint on insecurity and call it confidence. She'll smell the fraud in a heartbeat. You've got to build it in the trenches of your life. You've got to walk into your fears daily, not just with women, but everywhere. Say what you mean when it's uncomfortable. Hold eye contact when it scares you. Speak up when your voice shakes. Every rep builds the muscle of presence until eventually, walking up to a woman feels like an extension of who you already are, not some performance you're trying to pull off. You become the man who doesn't need 30 seconds to connect. He carries connection in his skin, in his tone, and in his silence. And when you do, you'll notice something shocking. Women start responding before you even open your mouth. They pick up your vibe across the room. They hold your gaze a split second longer. They position themselves closer because they feel you're not a boy chasing their approval. You're a man radiating his own. That's the real secret of connecting instantly. You stop trying to get something from her. You stop seeking validation. You walk over not because you need her, but because you're curious. You're giving your presence as a gift, not begging for her attention as a prize. That shift flips the entire script. She's not evaluating you anymore. You're evaluating her, and she can feel it. Imagine this. She's sitting at a cafe, scrolling through her phone, half bored, sipping her coffee. You walk in, spot her, and for a second, your chest tightens. That's the moment where most men either shrink or overcompensate. They shrink by pretending they didn't see her, sitting far away, stealing glances and walking out with nothing but regret, or they overcompensate. They strut over like they're auditioning for a bad rom-com, plaster on a fake grin, and launch into some line they read online. Both moves kill you instantly. One screams weakness, the other screams try hard. She doesn't want either. She wants the man who notices her, feels that tightness in his chest, and still walks over, not because he has the perfect words, but because he refuses to betray himself by doing nothing. The psychology here is brutal but simple. She's not judging your line, she's judging your congruence. Do your words match your energy? Do your actions match your eyes? If you say, "Hey, I had to say hi," but your body is caved in, your voice shaky, and your eyes darting, she feels the mismatch and instantly loses interest. But if you say the same thing with squared shoulders, a calm tone, and steady eye contact, she feels the weight behind it. That weight is what creates the spark. Not the syllables, the weight. The unspoken signal that says, "I'm not here to dance for your approval. I'm here because I wanted to be." That's what she tunes into in those first 30 seconds. That's what either draws her in or pushes her away. Here's the trap men fall into. They think attraction is about performance. They think it's about being funny enough, smooth enough, and impressive enough. But performance always betrays itself, because at some level, she knows you're not showing her you, you're showing her a mask. And no matter how good the mask looks, it feels hollow. She doesn't fall for the mask. She falls for the man who isn't afraid to let her see the raw edges. The one who can stumble, blush, or even say something stupid and not crumble under it. That's the paradox. The less you need to be flawless, the more flawless you seem. Because confidence isn't perfection. Confidence is resilience. It's the ability to stay grounded even when you wobble. That's the energy that makes her lean forward instead of leaning back.
Let me rip another myth apart. The idea that you need to keep her entertained. That's desperation in disguise. You're not her clown, you're not her Netflix show, and you're not there to juggle words and tricks until she's impressed. Real connection isn't built on entertainment. It's built on tension. And tension comes from your willingness to pause, to let silence hang, to look at her in a way that says, I see you, and I'm not rushing away. That pause in the first 30 seconds is more powerful than 100 jokes, because most men can't handle it. They ramble to fill the air, they crack nervous jokes, they overtalk. You do the opposite. You breathe. You let her feel the gravity of your presence. That gravity unsettles her, in the best way. It makes her wonder, why am I suddenly nervous? Why does it feel different with him? That's the hook. Think about the times in your life when you felt electricity with someone instantly. It wasn't because they told the funniest story or had the slickest introduction. It was because the air shifted around them. They carried a field that pulled you in, and you couldn't explain it logically. That's exactly what women feel in those first 30 seconds if you've cultivated presence. It's almost unfair, because when you've got it, words are optional. You could walk up and say, I like the way you hold your coffee cup, and she'd still feel something. Not because the words matter, but because you matter. Your vibe is louder than your voice. But if you walk up desperate, needy, and performing, even the sharpest line crumbles. Because desperation leaks through every pore, and she can smell it like smoke. So how do you build this kind of presence? By stepping into discomfort everywhere, not just with women. Every time you hide, every time you swallow your truth, every time you avoid tension, you're training yourself to shrink. And shrinking becomes your default. But every time you lean in, every time you hold your ground, every time you stay open when your instinct is to close, you're training presence. That's why this skill can't be faked. It's not something you do when you see a woman. It's something you become through repetition. Presence is a muscle, and the gym is life itself. You walk into every situation like it's practice. Speak up at work when you'd rather stay silent. Hold eye contact with strangers. Take slow breaths when your chest wants to tighten. Then, when you walk up to her, you're not trying to be present, you already are. And here's the kicker. When you carry that presence, women start chasing it. They lean into it because it feels rare. They live in a world of men who are either invisible or overcompensating. Invisible men hide behind silence. Overcompensating men hide behind noise. You're the one who doesn't hide at all. You show up raw, steady, unapologetic. And that contrast cuts through her world like lightning. She doesn't forget the man who made her feel alive in those first 30 seconds. She thinks about him later. She wonders, who was that? That's the seed of attraction, when she can't shake the echo of your presence. But let's strip it down even further. In those first moments, she's not consciously deciding whether you're attractive. She's not making a checklist in her head. Her body is reacting to your body. Her nervous system is scanning you for signals. Are you safe? Are you real? Are you grounded? That's biology, not logic. You can't talk your way into that response. You have to embody it. If you're fidgeting, darting your eyes, or unsteady and rushing your words, her body reads danger or weakness. If you're calm, steady, and rooted, her body reads strength and safety. That's the split-second primal dance happening under the surface. And once her nervous system relaxes into your presence, her mind opens to connection. That's why 30 seconds is enough. It's all it takes for her nervous system to decide whether you're a man worth leaning into or walking away from. So here's your exercise. Next time you're out, don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't strategize. The second you feel that pull toward a woman, use it as a trigger. Stand tall, breathe deep, walk over and say the first thing that comes naturally, no matter how boring it sounds in your head.
Then shut up. Let the silence breathe. Hold her eyes. Feel the tension instead of running from it. That's the crucible. If you can survive those first seconds without panicking, without scrambling to prove yourself, you've already won. Because in her body, she's already feeling something she doesn't feel with other men. She's already connecting. And once that seed is planted, the rest flows naturally. You don't have to force it. You just have to trust it. I still remember this one night at a rooftop lounge. She was stunning. The kind of woman who makes the whole room shift just by walking in. Most guys froze. A few tried their luck, leaning in with that rehearsed swagger, dropping tired compliments like coins in a slot machine, and I watched her dismiss them all with the same half smile, the same polite but empty "thank you." Then I walked over. I didn't say anything clever. I didn't try to be funny. I just stopped beside her, looked at her drink, and said, "That looks stronger than it should be." She laughed, not because the line was golden, but because the energy behind it was unforced. I wasn't performing, I wasn't shrinking, I was just there. And in 30 seconds, she turned from politely brushing men off to leaning in like she'd been waiting for me all night. That's the difference. Men who perform think they're playing offense, but they're actually playing defense. They're reacting to her, fishing for her approval, hoping for scraps. But when you step into the moment without needing anything, you're not defending, you're creating, you're setting the tone, and she feels it instantly. In those first 30 seconds, women aren't looking for perfect, they're looking for real. And real means congruent. If you're nervous but authentic, she feels grounded in that. If you're confident and calm, she feels safe in that. But if you're nervous pretending to be confident or confident hiding nervousness, she feels the fracture. And fractures break the connection before it begins. Here's the rawest truth most men don't want to hear. You can't hide who you are in the first 30 seconds. You think you're masking it with charm, with jokes, with swagger, but your eyes, your breath, your voice, and your posture all betray you. She reads them faster than you realize. Women have evolved to sense incongruence because it protects them. That's why she can smile at your line while her body is already pulling back. That's why she can nod politely while her attention drifts away. You're not being rejected for your words, you're being rejected for your incongruence. And the only way out isn't a better line, it's becoming the man who has nothing to hide. That's the man who can connect instantly because there's no static between his words and his being. Now let me smash another myth, the one that says you need to earn her interest in those first 30 seconds. No, you don't earn anything, you reveal. You reveal your energy, your presence, and your essence. And she reacts. It's not about convincing her, it's about exposing yourself without apology. Think about fire. Fire doesn't convince you it's hot, it doesn't run a pitch, it just burns, and you can't help but feel it. That's you in those first 30 seconds. You're either burning or you're not. You don't beg her to feel warmth. You radiate it until she has no choice but to notice. That's what separates the man she forgets in seconds from the man she can't shake hours later. This is where silence becomes your ally. Most men fear silence like it's death. They rush to fill it, to cover it over, to smooth it over. But silence is power. Silence is the space where tension breathes, where connection deepens. When you walk up and drop a line, then let the air hang for a moment. You give her room to feel you, to actually process your presence. That pause is dangerous. It forces her to sit in her own reaction. And if your presence is strong, that reaction is magnetic. She's not just hearing your words, she's feeling your weight. That's why comedians use pauses. That's why leaders use pauses. And that's why men who connect instantly don't rush. They let silence work for them like an invisible ally. So here's another challenge. Practice silence. Next time you talk to a woman, say something simple, then stop. Don't fill the space. Hold it. Look at her. Breathe. Let her words come to you. You'll feel your insides screaming, "Say something, she's judging me." That's your weakness, trying to crawl back. Kill it. Stay with the silence. Let it bend her reality for a moment. Because when you don't rush, you send the deepest signal of all. I'm not afraid of you. And that signal is intoxicating. That's when her body softens, her eyes linger, and she begins to feel safe enough to actually connect. But let's take it deeper. Connection in the first 30 seconds isn't just about her feeling you, it's about you feeling her. Most men are so trapped in their own performance that they don't even notice the woman in front of them. They're too busy thinking, am I doing well? Am I screwing this up? Does she like me? Meanwhile, she feels unseen. And when a woman feels unseen, she checks out. But when you drop the self-conscious chatter and actually tune into her eyes, her breath, her tone, you flip the script. She feels noticed in a way that most men never give her. She feels like you're not just talking at her, you're with her. That's what opens the door to real connection. That's what makes 30 seconds enough to shift her world.
So stop obsessing about making her like you. Start obsessing about seeing her, noticing her details, catching the way her fingers tap the glass, the way her voice dips when she's not performing, and the way her eyes shift when she's surprised. Women are starved for that level of attention. They're drowning in shallow interactions with men who only see a body. When you see the person, she feels it instantly. And that recognition, pure, unforced recognition, creates the kind of connection that makes her remember you long after the moment is over. The paradox is that by seeing her deeply, you become unforgettable, not because you impressed her, but because you awakened her. You made her feel more herself. And that's the kind of moment a woman can't forget. That's the kind of moment that doesn't just spark desire, but roots it, all in 30 seconds or less. Think about how many men approach women like they're applying for a job. They come in with resumes disguised as stories, bragging about their careers, their cars, and their vacations. They stack achievements like bullet points, hoping she'll stamp approved. And then they wonder why she's bored within seconds. Here's the harsh truth. Women don't connect to your resume. They connect to your presence. They don't fall for the facts of your life. They fall for the way you make them feel in the moment. And if the first 30 seconds are dripping with insecurity, neediness, or performance, no amount of achievements can save you. She's already gone. That's why the men who win instantly don't sell themselves. They reveal themselves. They don't audition. They don't campaign. They simply exist with such raw, unapologetic energy that she feels pulled in without explanation. The deeper layer of this is polarity. Masculine energy thrives on direction, presence, and groundedness. Feminine energy thrives on flow, expression, and surrender. When you meet her with hesitation or neediness, you collapse polarity. You become another source of noise in her life, another boy she has to manage. But when you meet her with steady attention, when you can hold your ground without flinching, polarity snaps into place like magnets. She feels her feminine wake up because your masculine gave it something to dance with. That spark doesn't take hours. It doesn't take a perfect script. It takes seconds. But those seconds only work if you carry polarity in your bones, not as a trick, but as truth. And here's the brutal cut. If you're struggling to connect instantly, it's not because women are impossible to read. It's because you're lying to yourself. You're pretending to be confident when you're not. You're pretending to not care when you do. You're pretending to be smooth when you're shaky. And women are wired to catch lies. The solution isn't to build a better mask. It's to drop the damn mask. To stop editing yourself into someone you're not. To own your nerves, your desire, your humanity. When you do that, something wild happens. She feels safe. Safe to laugh, safe to flirt, safe to open. Because you're not trying to trap her in your illusion, you're inviting her into your reality. That's connection, and it's immediate when it's real.
But here's the knife twist. If you can't connect with yourself, you'll never connect with her. That's why presence feels impossible for so many men. They spend their lives running from their own discomfort. They drown in distraction, hide behind work, and chase validation in every form. So when they stand in front of a woman, they're strangers to their own bodies. Their breath is shallow, their eyes restless, and their hearts locked. And she feels it. She feels the distance between you and yourself, and she has no reason to bridge it. That's why building connection in 30 seconds starts long before you meet her. It starts in your solitude, in the way you breathe, the way you stand, the way you confront your own fears when no one's watching. Master that, and when you finally stand in front of her, you're not a boy fumbling for approval. You're a man rooted in himself. And that, more than any clever line, is irresistible. So the next time you see her, the next time your chest tightens and your brain screams, "Don't mess this up," remember this: you don't need to be clever. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to perform. You need to breathe, to stand, to speak, and to let her feel you without apology. Because the instant you stop hiding, the instant you stop editing, connection happens on its own. 30 seconds is enough for her to feel who you are. 30 seconds is enough for her to decide if you're a man worth remembering. And if you've done the inner work, if you've killed the need to impress and built the muscle of presence, 30 seconds is more than enough to change the entire trajectory of that interaction. The men who get it will never worry about being awkward again, because they understand that awkwardness isn't failure. It's proof that you're alive, that you're real, that you're present. Women don't fall for perfect machines. They fall for men who can hold their own humanity without collapsing. Men who can feel the fire in their chest and still move toward what they want. Men who can look a woman in the eye, stumble over a word, laugh, and keep standing tall. That's the man who connects instantly. That's the man she remembers. That's the man she desires. And here's the mic drop truth. You don't connect instantly by trying to be the man she wants. You connect instantly by being the man who doesn't flinch. Because when you stop needing her to feel whole, she can finally feel you. And in those first 30 seconds, that's all she's looking for. Not the line, not the performance, just the man who refuses to hide.